Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the show. I'm the BMD. You are with us here live on a remote for me and my darling wife beside me. We are vacationing in Wolfville, Nova Scotia. Just finished off a family wedding and taking the balance of the week to drive around John Cabot's Trail. And I want to wish all the fans of the show and the subscribers, yes, don't forget to subscribe. We need those earning points to make us still survive here.
This collaboration with anybody. So with Dan, I feel safe, and I'm blessed to have him in my life.
That is a very special comment showing some strength on that friendship. What about songwriting, you two guys? Different songwriters, of course. Can you talk to us about the blend? How you blend that on a concert night?
Well, I think a lot of it is sort of blended by our storytelling, because one of the things that we're able to do that obviously an audience is not aware of when they're hearing our songs on the radio or hearing our songs recorded by other artists is they don't know the genesis of the song, what inspired the actual writing of the song, and then how did that song go from being inspired by, say, this unbelievable evening with a woman to then becoming a hit, or to be picked up by, say, Tina Turner, someone we were both lucky enough to have record at least a couple of our songs. So I think the talking, the sharing of stories and experiences back and forth along with the songs seems to give the audience more depth of understanding. Plus, and for me, the best part is none of this is rehearsed. I mean, we don't have a script. Neither Andy or I are reading from a piece of paper. We just kind of extemporaneous, spontaneously talk about how these songs evolve. But then there's crosstalk between Andy and me. He may say something that I find really interesting, so I might want to point that out. There might be some kind of gentle teasing. And in some ways, I think that's the most fun for everybody, including us, that we're just saying things based on what the other is saying. So I think the stories really help bridge the similarities of both Andy and me. We're very similar on so many levels, and yet obviously we both have our own unique styles of writing and performing as well. So I think it was sort of like a happy accident. I don't think we realized the power of the show between our connection as individuals and our outpouring as songwriters and musicians.
Andy, anything to add?
Yeah, so I've always been free form. I never think about what I'm going to say. I just get a certain, I guess, feeling about being in a room with an audience. And I'll always remember the first show we did. And, I'm kind of nervous. And then, we're introduced, Dan Hill, Andy Kim. Dan sits down and talks to the audience. And he does a song. And then he introduces me. But while he's introducing me, he says, not that many people know that, Andy doesn't talk about himself. We don't hear him talk about himself. And so, Andy, if you would just tell the audience something about you. Well, my heart froze, but it opened me up to a place that I would never have gone to except for my dear friend Dan. And it's why I love him so much. It's a combination of one spirit having the ability to create a language between us and to help me get through my initial talking about myself, talking about my family, growing up in Montreal, etc. I rarely shared that with anybody. And I was surprised that I was able to say those words without feeling uncomfortable. And I always know that, Dan will always find the treasure in the artists that he works with, the people that he knows, and I'm forever grateful for him being in my life.
Interesting comment. Dan, what do you feel about those comments? That's some pretty heavy English that just happened.
Well, I'm really moved by what Andy has to say. Although we are very, very close, I consider him to be one of my best, if not my best friend. I feel like I really know Andy, but he's kind of the antithesis of a typical successful artist, meaning he doesn't really talk about himself. And if you don't realize it, you could be hanging out, you could be going out to dinner with Andy, and by the time you're driving home, you realize that you've been doing all the talking, he's been doing all the listening. I feel very close to Andy, but there are things about fundamental things necessarily he doesn't share, and I've never really. That just is Andy. So the one of the great things about doing these shows is a lot of parts of Andy's life I had no idea about until he's telling the audience. I just didn't know 90% of the stuff that Andy has shared with the audience, which I believe Andy hasn't figured this out ahead of time. I think it's just kind of naturally spilling out of him. I didn't know. So one of the great parts for me performing with Andy is it gives me a chance to see more things about Andy and understand what has made Andy who he is as a man right now.
Interesting. Guys.
And, excuse me, and I could never have done this without Dan. You should know that. I would never do it.
Spirit, I'm hearing different spirits. I'm hearing storytelling. And then I'm hearing different music. Is that depend on the night? Andy mentioned gets the feeling from the crowd. Dan, can you tell us first? Walk on stage, ladies and gentlemen, Dan Hill, da 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 da. And then, do you get a vibe right now? You said you're not rehearsed about potential stories in your head. You're going to engage with the audience, or you never know till the lights, action, camera turn on.
Well, one thing that's I find kind of amusing with Andy and myself is that we never know who's going to sing the first song, right? So sometimes we're on stage in front of the audience, we still don't know, and he'll say, "Do you want to do the first song?" I think we both kind of want the other to start, and so a lot of my song choices are predicated on what Andy sings. So if he sings something, say that's a hit, and he's had so many hits, Andy, that it's hard to keep track of them. Well, I feel kind of this kind of thing inside me, feel like I maybe need to come up with one of my songs that was a hit. Whereas if he sings something that isn't a hit, but it's just an amazing song, then I may feel like I want to go into my toolbox and come up with a song that's really strong, but not a hit. So a lot of my set is based on what Andy says and what Andy sings. And that's the part of it that makes it fun. I think we both know I think we both have maybe at least 20 plus songs that we're capable of singing on any given night. But really, because between the two of us and our stories, the most songs we're going to sing in one night are, say, 7 songs each, right? So we do have this big array of songs to choose from. But again, what we end up performing depends sort of literally on the moment.
Interesting. Andy, can you jump in there?
Well, it's what I love about what we're doing. I'll speak for myself as a songwriter. People ask me about, well, why'd you write this and how'd you write that? And the truth is, I don't exactly know. All I know is that I was hoping that, God's angels continue to come my way and I would write something. But after you've written it and you've made a record, you really don't know what an audience is going to think. And so I've never felt that what I wrote and recorded was anything other than a gift. And I'm always marveling when I hear Dan sing his songs. And I keep wondering, my God, this guy's...
In Scarborough, growing up, the first concert I ever played
I know it.
was in your house. It was in your basement.
I know that.
Did you know that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Because we decided that we were going to put on, we were going to
The
put together
Beatles.
a band called the Beatles.
Correct.
And because we were sure that no one else had heard of them. And it was yourself, your cousin Rick Nemos.
Ricky, yeah.
Yeah, and Danny Curran.
Yes.
Yes. And I was asked to join because there was a yard sale just a few blocks away where they were selling out on the front lawn, they were selling a kit of drums. And it was that kind of kit you would get at Simpsons back then. And they were selling it for like $0.25. So obviously some parents bought this for their kid and it was like too loud. And I went home, rode my bike home, asked what I said to my mom, I was like, they got a whole set of drums for $0.25. She gave me the $0.25. I went, bought them, lugged them home. They're made of cardboard. And we set up in your basement. And you're not going to like where this goes.
No. Give it to me.
And we did the concert. We were miming to the Beatles. We did Help, and the flip side of Help was I'm Down. And I'm sitting on the drums as Ringo, but I wanted to sing I'm Down, which I did. You tell lies thinking I can't see. You can't cry because you're laughing at me. I'm down. And as if Ringo was the singer. Well, after the show, your mom, a couple of the other moms came over and said, wow, you can really sing well. You were really playing. And then Danny and Rick said, Lawrence, we're going to have a band meeting. And I thought, oh, great, band meeting. This is getting serious. And we all sat down in your basement and they said, all right, here it is. We like your drums. We just don't like your drumming. And I was really crestfallen. And you know something? To this day, I'm a terrible drummer.
Great story.
But my son is a professional drummer. Actually, he just finished playing in Germany. Normally, he plays with us. And he was in Germany.
Stix member.
We have Todd Zuckerman, one of the greatest in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan was playing in Germany this week with his band called Seven Spires, and so we couldn't get him for this run of shows. So we got Todd Zuckerman. Fantastic, the greatest replacement you could ever ask for.
So can I tell a story?
Please do.
And it involves you, not me.
Okay.
You.
Yeah.
Do you remember Tecumseh?
Of course.
So we went
great
to
school.
Tecumseh.
Yeah. I went to St. Barbara's.
You went to behind us.
Yeah.
So, old friend, you may know the name Scott Staples.
Of course. Yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
And Paul Morrison, maybe.
Vaguely.
He was a guitar player.
Okay. Vaguely.
And they had. Do you remember Dave Babin at all?
Very well, a drummer.
There you go.
Yeah,
so they had that
I know exactly where
three-piece.
his house was. Yeah.
They had the three-piece.
Chandler. Yeah. And your house in Chandler.
Correct.
Yeah.
In the stage at Tecumseh, and it was dance night.
Ooh.
And you came up and saved the day when
I did?
they booed Staples Band, we'll call it, off stage, and you came up
Really?
and played a set of the Beatles
Did I?
to save the night on Morrison's guitar.
I kind of remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, you saved the day. So you turned the boos into cheers,
Okay.
and I remember everybody saying, this guy, you,
Yeah.
is going to be a somebody. So I got to lead my next question.
Okay. hit me.
So from childhood,
Yeah.
which we're chatting about, to bringing you,
That's
not
right.
necessarily to here, meaning the region, but
Right.
here in your career.
Yeah.
Did you ever think in your heart, yeah, that's me?
Well, I knew this is what I had to do. I wasn't any good at anything else, quite honestly. I knew at a pretty young age, probably at the point where I was told like my drumming wasn't any good. No, I knew at a young age this is what I wanted to do. I knew the moment I saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, the moment they came on, within 30 seconds, I was like, okay, maybe if the Toronto Maple Leafs never call, and they never did, this is what I want to do. And, I basically, I did okay in school and everything, but it really everything was aimed toward this. Even in high school, when I started getting more serious about playing classical piano, and then left high school and went to the Royal Conservatory, it was all with the intention of trying to become a songwriter and connect with people through music.
Do you know
Yeah.
what's funny? We had last show Andy Kim, Canadian legend,
I know him.
and Dan Hill.
And I
who
know
you
him. Yeah.
I asked Dan Hill. He said the same thing.
Yeah.
The minute he put whatever in his hand,
Yeah.
instrument-wise,
Yeah.
He knew this is it.
That's
He didn't want to sell tickets, didn't want to cut lawns, wash cars. He wanted to be songwriter, performer. You said word for word like
Yeah.
you spoke to him.
the same A&R guy, Jeff Burns, signed Dan Hill and also signed me. He was with a company called GRT when he signed Dan, and he was with Columbia Records when I got signed by him. He also signed Loverboy and Celine Dion and some other notable names.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's something that, it's funny when younger people ask me, what would you, any advice for young musicians? First of all, no, because I get more of my advice from younger players now, as far as because the music industry part has changed so dramatically. But the most important thing is that you fall in love with music. Music itself is its own reward. And so even at a young age, although I wanted to do this every day for the rest of my life, I still felt like if it doesn't happen where I, gain an audience, etc., I still feel like my life's been enriched by my engagement with music, my relationship to it and what it does to me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've seen you run into the stands on some of of my research on you, and
Show business, right?
yeah. So what about the all-in-one guy? I felt promoter, self-promotion, singing, writing, producing. It's all you. But tell the viewers about the all-in-one.
I mean, it just sort of developed, I mean, when I
Can
was
you expand on that?
well, yeah, some of the songs that I've been playing for 50 years with Goddo, I wrote them during the flood days. We have one particular song that we've never really played live. I did it on a TV show once, playing piano, because I don't play the
You just cataloged it?
It was on an album, and I played piano because I wrote it on the piano, but I'm not a piano player. But we did it on live television, which was a complete, that's how much stuff we had back then, or I had.
Mm-hmm.
But, some of those songs, like Cock On, which we're not doing tonight, is this story about flood, doing that Flood in the Nud picture that we did for a magazine.
Influences growing up. I know you
The
mentioned
Beatles.
Beatles.
Kinks,
Only Beatles.
Stones.
Kiss, Stones. So
British
the
Invasion.
originals.
But I also loved Roy Orbison. Like I said, my brothers were into Elvis and Bo Diddley and all those early rockabilly guys, Jerry Lee Lewis and all that. So it was all in there. And then, of course, you get the first Beatles album and Rolling for Beethoven. So you go, I know this song. And then they say, well, this is by this other guy named Chuck Berry, So you go, well, if it's good enough for the Beatles, it's good enough for me. So all of a sudden, and the Stones, their early albums were just nothing but covers.
Mm-hmm.
First couple of records, anyway.
Can you share with the listeners and viewer your typical 9 to 5, and only basics 9. It's probably longer.
I don't have a 9 to 5.
But people know it as 9 to
Okay.
5. So a typical day, let's say.
Well, I don't work, for starters, because, ostensibly I'm sort of, finished with working, except for the fact that we're going to be doing a tour with the fine people at Black Rose Entertainment
Yes.
as a hearing, tonight ain't case in point.
But
I
you're
get up and
still
have a cup of
selling
tea. Yeah.
That's motivation.
Cup of tea in the morning, check my email. Okay, let me put it this way. I wrote a song called Rockstar. And I was sitting by the fireplace when we had one. And I was thinking, what if I got to do tomorrow? I got to drive my daughter to school. I got to pick up groceries. I got to pump some gas. And I wrote this song about, but I'm a big rock star and I'm okay, right? Because it was all the most mundane things that you can possibly do
Mm-hmm.
in the space of 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But that was my day, Occasionally I'd pick up a guitar and write something, or be driving.
So you practice what you preach, obviously.
Yeah, but the songs, for instance, like some of them just appear in my head. Like I can see it like it's on ticker tape.
So writing style, it just comes
Whatever
to you
comes, yeah.
from a dream or looking over
Dream,
there, looking
yeah.
there.
I'll maybe be listening to something on the radio and go, hey, I got a better idea than that. I dare them to try and find out where I stole it from.
Interesting,
Yeah,
interesting.
But everybody does it,
So what can the audience, I cut you short on that, please expand on it again. What can the audience expect tonight? You started and we went off tangent.
Well, we've got a flood song in the set as a tip of the hat to Brian and Ed. You see, that's right. Yeah, I got off on a tangent. I was writing these songs, but they didn't want to know about them. And my mom even said to Brian one day, Mike Gregory is writing some really good material. You might want to have a listen. And he goes, with all due respect, Mrs. Godovitz, Flood's my band.
Wow.
And that's when I quit, because
Shotgun.
he was telling my mother this. You never tell a guy's mother anything.
No.
So she told me, and within 2 weeks I was out of the band. I mean, I am writing some good material, and if they're never going to do them, why am I putting in all this time? So I thought, okay, now I'm the dictator,
So we talked a little bit about Flood starting, swinging to Goddo, maybe some other ones in between. I'd like to know how you develop your ideas, how you develop a band. Is it just friendship?
Well, I was lucky
or
to
you're
have Marty.
screening people, or
Marty and I were high school friends, and so we played a lot in early year, grade 9. I think I was in grade 9 3 or 4 times. I can't remember. Grade 10, whenever. I think I got to 10 somehow, and so we'd always played music together. The last thing we did together was when Hey Jude was #1, and Marty was playing drums. We had a guy that would end up playing piano with us. He's a professor of music now. Great musicians in that school. Jim Morgan, who became a huge recording engineer. And I was 18 years old, so could I sing Hey Jude? Oh yeah. So we actually got the orchestra to play all the horn lines at the end of it, the way the Beatles do in that video. And then you got 1,500 kids there singing the na-na-na-na-na part, right?
beautiful.
And after we finished it, I walked out of the office and said, I quit. I've got other things to do, and I never went back.
Wow.
It was my swan song.
Lucas is live back home on this remote, and we're going to do something a little bit different because we've had quite a bit of viewer mail, and we like every couple of months to tap into that and say hello to everybody and answer those questions. Lucas is going to do an update on the rock report in Durham region and surrounding areas, and probably our best clips, some of our best clips. Most of the fans have asked, what about this? What about that? What do you say? What do you know? We're here, ready to go. So, Lucas, if you're ready on viewer mail, I think you mentioned we had about 10 questions.
Oh, yeah.
Fire away and we'll try and answer them.
So, BMD, the fans really want to know. We know you go behind the scenes at these shows. We know you do Zoom interviews. Do you actually go to these shows of these bands that you interview?
Well, as a matter of fact, my wife and I usually go on our birthdays are 2 weeks apart in November, and our anniversary is first week of April. And we usually take in 2 to 3 shows a season. We did see Gowan. I'm trying to think who else we thought was good. Do you know, hun? I've drawn a blank right now other than that. No, she's shaking her head too. I don't think we were sleeping during it because we enjoyed it. Yeah, we saw Lightfoot too. So we've been to a few shows, like the entertainment value and the customer service we get from our good friend there, Scott Templeton from Black Rose Entertainment. Regent's a beautiful venue. We did also see Elvis, the 68 comeback special, and the Aloha, the double Elvis show in one night. That had never been done before. My boys took me there for Father's Day, and we did a live interview with Elvis before that show, and which you've seen on the channel, and that was probably one of my favorite shows too.
Very nice. The fans really want to know. We know you've been in the game for a long time. You're a natural. How did you get into broadcasting?
Well, that is a real good question. I get to say that back myself as an artist. Well, what happened to me is all my life I kept having people on the street, or they weren't fans then, friends and family, saying, you know, you have a great radio voice. Have you ever thought about getting into radio? And back in the day, Q107 had a sister station called The Hog, or Kiss FM, up in Newmarket. And I was asked to do, so I was in the auto industry at the time, and they asked me to do some safety tips on the automobile industry. And then it spun into an automotive show called Auto News Weekly at a Kiss FM. And one thing led to another, and I've just been snake bitten since. And either I can't get enough of the public or they can't get enough of me.
Very nice. Do you have a question that you could ask the most?
The most question I get, whether I'm walking around or industry. Hey folks, the BMD here on my show, Meet the Band. If you or your group would like to be a guest on the show, email us at thebmdpodcast@gmail.com. See you then.